Good morning. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, good morning.
My name is Patricia Devine, and I am a member of the Worship and Music Committee. My pronouns are he, her, and hers. Sorry, it's a little warm, a little winded. I want to begin by just apologizing for, if you notice things are a little bit out of order, we are sharing the space with another congregation from Brazil, and we're sorting out who needs to put what where. So if you'll bear with us, I in fact think things look a lot better than us, and I hope you can see that as well. Our service this morning is called Finding the Button Box. And it is being led by our minister, Reverend Arthur Lavoie. Our music this morning is being presented by Emily Browder Melville. Our technical director is Linda Harding. And Deb Kellerwood is our in charge of our children's program. The first part of our service is recorded. After our benediction, the recording is terminated and we do our candles. The recording is made available on our Facebook page, on YouTube, and on public access television. If you are visiting this morning, please feel free to ask any of us if you have questions. There's published literature in the back if you're interested in learning more about Unitarian Universalism, and I hope you enjoy the morning. Our coffee hour this morning will be held outside the building because it's about 100 degrees outside. And we could get a sunburn. Please enjoy and join us, and if you have any interest in helping out in the future, please let Julia Thomas know. Whoever you are, whomever you love, whatever you believe, wherever you are on your journey, please walk with us this hour.
Good morning. I'm the Reverend Arthur Lavoie. My pronouns are he, him, and his. And I want to offer a special welcome to those who are watching the service on YouTube, on Facebook, or on one of, I believe we're broadcasting in 6 local communities on public access TV. We're really excited to be able to share our service with so many of you in the community. If you would like some more information about First Parish in Plymouth, this Unitarian Universalist congregation, I invite you to look at our website, firstparishplymouthuu.org. There is some information there, and there are ways that you might contact me or contact our office if you would like to get more information. So thank you for being part of our worship community this morning, and we hope you and everyone here has some insight and benefit from our service.
Our call to worship this morning is the words of John Robinson, a founding member. Minister.
Founding minister.
Oh, yes.
The words that are on the wall. Meeting house.
Sorry. The Lord hath more truth and light yet to break forth out of his holy word. Our hymn this morning, our first hymn this morning, is 128, For All That Is Our Life. Please stand and join in the singing, and please wear a mask if you are singing. Please join me. Please remain standing. Sorry about that. Please join me in the words of the chalice lighting. Love is the spirit of his church, and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in freedom, to speak the truth in love, and to help one another.
Good morning, everyone. So today you're going to be talking about change. That word can kind of cause stomach issues. And we are going to be talking about music with Sandy upstairs, the children and I. We're going to be talking about spirit care and how music can help with that. And so I started thinking about change and spirit care and music and how those could all be connected. And it was really, really easy to think about it. Because when I get stressed, I love to sing. And it reminded me of a story when I was really little. We had a piano in my house. My father played the piano. And when he wasn't looking, I would climb under the piano. And I would just listen. And I would do it when I was kind of wild, and I would calm down. I would do it when I didn't know what to do with myself. And I just felt happy. And those are some of my favorite memories, and I remember them better than probably most other things. Laying under that piano and feeling it. And then I thought about, as I got older, I took some classes in how to center yourself. And one of the things we would do is hum. So I wonder if you take a minute right now and you just take a deep breath, close your eyes, and when I say go, you're going to hum, but think about how your body is feeling as you hum. And go. Did you feel a difference? Did you kind of feel yourself sit in a little more? Relax a little bit? So imagine, as we were upstairs humming and playing music, and you're down here talking about change, how maybe music can help you through change, and what it can mean for you. And now we're going to go on our journey of learning and discovery in music.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
The reading, can you hear me now? Because I put this all down. Is it okay? The reading this morning. Oh, okay, thank you.
Okay.
You're good, yeah.
Thank you
Thank you very much. The reading is entitled Outside the Box by Reverend Susan Davidson Archer, and it's extracted from her writing entitled Essex Conversations. When the classroom wing of our church burned down in 1986, many things were lost. But in the post-fire days of all that was shoveled out into the dumpster, what I felt as the greatest loss was our button collection. I remember one of the members unearthing the metal canister from a charred cabinet. In it, the buttons remained. Yeah, they were covered with thick coat of soot. The interestingly gnarled metal lumps, the beads, the carved wood, the big and little designs of every color and shape. Buttons combined over many years from many sources. I saw images of children and teachers coming to get the button can for craft projects or just for play, to make designs or pictures, all the remnants to be recombined back into the box for another day. I saw images of adults coming to contribute their buttons, sometimes with stories of where they had come from. When we found the button can, for a moment I had been hopeful. Maybe we could save them. In reality, I was probably somewhat delusional. after working for several days in the roofless building, already soaked from the fire hoses, now re-drenched from the heavens. There was no way to wash the thick soot from all of those wondrous pieces. I did have to wonder why I was so touched by the loss of those buttons. It had something to do with meaning across ages, across generations, continuity, and a never-ending collection because it was continually replenished. How many hands have been laid on them? The wise hands of grandmothers mending clothing long ago, and the small hands of little ones, some of whom are by now grown up. The buttons contributed to this collection were never bought, always brought, were never too many, but always enough. The meaning of these buttons for me had something to do with stability, solidity, memories, and hope. Our musical reflection will be played by Emily, entitled Turn the World Around, with words and music by Harry Belafonte.
Thank you, Emily. Some of turning the world around is what we're all hoping for in this week's election, which we're all a little anxious about, I'm sure. And that's one of the new hymns in the back of our teal hymnal, by the way. And we'll all soon have a chance to learn that a bit. So, I want to ask, do you know the TV show Family Feud? Are you familiar with that? Where two families face off against each other. There's a general category or question at the top of the board, and the families have to guess the answers that are hidden, the answers that are most often given. Okay? Now, did you know that you could make up your own version of the game of Family Feud online? I had no idea until our leadership retreat last Sunday afternoon. I was at Cedar Hill, a UU retreat center in Duxbury, with most of the members of the parish committee and committee chairs, along with the transition team, were there with me. Cheryl Caton and Paul Melville from the transition team led us in an exercise where they asked 3 questions. In the year 2028, what is happening at First Parish in Plymouth that you can't miss? In the year 2028, what is happening in your personal world that First Parish in Plymouth helps you to navigate? In the year 2028, what is happening at First Parish in Plymouth that you share with friends and family? Participants at the retreat could write as many answers to each of those questions as they wanted. Cheryl and Paul collected those answers, sent us on a break, and compiled them into categories that they loaded somehow onto the 3 questions in the Family Feud online thing. We then played around for each of the 3 questions with volunteers representing the 2 families facing off against each other. They had to guess which answers got the most responses. I was amazed that we could have so much fun with an exercise like this one, as a way of exploring the vision that church leaders in this congregation have for your future. I'd like all of you to think about those 3 questions. I'm not going to give any of the answers that came up because we'll probably do something with that exercise with a larger group of people. 6 years from now, in 2028, what is happening here that you can't miss? How is this spiritual community helping you navigate things in your personal world? And what is happening here that you most want to share with family and friends? Your answers to those questions reflect some of your larger vision for what you think this church means and what you would like to see happen here. We can imagine some of those today. Next week, I'm going to ask us to think about some of the things that might have to change or shift in order to accomplish this vision and the goals that would go along with it. These are what we call norms, the rules for how you do things and how you operate in this congregation. All of this work involves thinking outside of the box, so to speak, or what we in the business call transformational change. Transformational or transformative change can be very confusing and can be filled with anxiety. Transformational change calls us to not only change some of the things we are doing, but also calls us to change how we envision a church community and our norms for how things are done. In a sense, your kind of guideposts, landmarks that have guided your way are no longer there. Our liturgical theme for November is changed, and that was kind of set by the organization, the UU organization called Soul Matters, that we get these themes from. So it fits right into what is happening here. During that break on Sunday's retreat, when they were preparing for Family Feud, several of us took a short walk to the beach. Cedar Hill is located on that strip of Duxbury that kind of flips around and faces Kingston and Plymouth. And it's kind of disorienting in and of itself to be there and kind of knowing that you're kind of looking at the Kingston and Plymouth coastline. During, the only other time I've been on that beach was during a coming of age retreat that we held in the spring of 2019 with the youth from our congregation. At that earlier visit, the smokestack at Cordage Park was the anchor in that landscape across the bay to helping me to orient what I was seeing. Well, as we know, the smokestack is gone. And even when I looked at Google Maps on my phone, I couldn't quite figure out where things were and what exactly I was looking at. Those of you who were there with me, we were having the same problem. But that's kind of what transformational change calls us to do. As we look at things differently, the landmarks aren't, we've got to find new landmarks and guideposts sometimes. Now, the changes that happen in our lives, sometimes we choose them, and sometimes they are thrust upon us. COVID-19, political polarization with openly expressed anger and hostility are all changes thrust upon us that have changed some of our familiar landscape. Zoom, mask protocols, isolation, and anxiety have changed my personal kind of orientation a bit and our church landscape as well. Whatever emerges will be different, and sometimes vastly different from what we had known before. So it's always important for us to know what is in our button box, our can of buttons, those treasured things that ground us, that give us the stability, solidity, memory, and hope that Susan Davidson Archer talks about in this morning's reading. As I have got to know you over these last few years, I'd like to hold up a few things that might be grounding for you and that might be missed the most if they were not here, that will help you orient yourself on your way forward. First, I think the quality of your community, of how you care about and for each other, is rich and deep. One of the most important parts of your identity. You have a good music program and strong Sunday worship that draws many people to want to be involved. Your commitment to social justice is a handmark component of your identity. And you also have many lay leaders who committed to the work of this church. These will help you maintain some continuity in the midst of change, keeping that stability, solidity, memory, and hope. But it's also important that we mourn and grieve the changes and the losses that will occur, that we ritualize them in some way. 4 years ago, right around, well, it was early December, we had a whole service devoted to the transition of ownership of the meeting house. Next Sunday, this organ will be played for the last time, and then it will soon leave this space. At some point during the renovations, the organ will also be removed from the meeting house. As we envision a new future, we will need to update our music program to include more instruments. All thriving UU churches, as well as churches of other denominations, have a band that leads worship on Sunday mornings. We're going to get a taste of that with our closing hymn, by the way. That is the way to attract young families. Millennials, Gen Xers, which you need in order to grow. One of the interesting things that happened to me during that exercise about 2028 is that in 2028, I won't be here. I bring up my time with you every once in a while, and I've been told that I should stop saying it because it makes people anxious, and people might disengage from me and my ministry here. Some of you, when I say something like that, just hear, Art is leaving, oh no, or maybe, oh yes. Even though in this case we're talking several years out. I've been told that people start to disengage emotionally from the minister when they fear the minister's departure. Maybe some people start dancing for joy, but I don't think that's too many of you. I appreciate your support and validation of my ministry, and I do love being your minister and working with all of you. It's a joy to be coming close to the end of my career and to be in such a wonderful congregation. But I am what we call in the business a temporary shepherd. My time with you, any minister's time with you, is limited. This is your church. Now, after my statement earlier about a band on Sunday mornings, some of you might want to hasten my departure. I remind you of the temporary nature of ministry for a few reasons. First, this is your church community, not mine, and I want you to have ownership of it. I want you to remember that every minister leaves at some point. And there have been some recent ministries here that have ended in conflict and bad feelings. And I want us to be sure to have a more positive ending to my time with you and to write a new chapter of that story. And I also want us to have a bit of an edge of anxiety right now. Not to become too complacent with the way things are and the way that you do things here, because this is not sustainable. Over the long haul, you cannot afford a full-time minister and all the other staff without some significant growth. And And that growth will necessarily involve some transformational change that we need to envision. In ancient Roman religion and myth, Janus is the god of beginnings, gates, transitions, time, doorways, passages, and endings. He is depicted as having two faces, one on each side of his head. He looks to the future and to the past at the same time. I imagine his two faces are also looking within and without. Part of the work of this developmental ministry time is to discern who you are as a congregation, what are your goals for the future, and how you make appropriate changes to your programs in this building or another location to best serve your mission. As I watch, even on this nice day, we know that the leaves have all changed colors and many of them have fallen. And the air will quickly get much colder. I am once again reminded that the rhythms of change are an inevitable part of life. Change is within us and all around us. Mary Oliver writes, "Now are the rough things smooth, and the smooth things stand in flickering slats, pacing the slow tarnish of sunfall. Summer is over, or nearly, and therefore the green is not green anymore, but yellow, beige, rust. All the darknesses are beginning to settle in. And therefore, why pray for permanence? Why not pray to impermanence, to change, to whatever comes next?" Praying to or embracing what comes next, that's a real challenge for all of us. Difficult and risky, yes, but making the most of this time of change will lead to a fuller, more authentic way of being for you, both individually and as a community. Of course, embracing change and being open to whatever comes next is not as unstructured as we might fear. After all, the seasons may change, but they do follow a definite pattern that we can depend upon. The changes that will happen here at First Parish in Plymouth, Unitarian Universalist, will be carefully and thoughtfully organized. This time of change can also bring out your many treasures as you uncover what is truly at the heart of this community. It is important for you to identify First Parish's box of buttons, to find what lies at the core and what is foundational for the life of this community. Betty Lockwood was the RE director in the congregation I served in Rocky River, Ohio, years ago. I ran across something she wrote which included the following story. Thad Clark, one of our grand old ministers, told this story to a group of RE directors at the Meadville conference one summer when I was very new to this whole business. The Clarks had built a home in Maine. One summer, they struggled through building a fireplace, doing every bit of the work themselves. They were pleased and proud. It drew well, the fires burned warm and glowing. A local builder and artisan, a regular down-home Mainer who helped them with various tasks, dropped by one day. Thad proudly showed off the fireplace, hoping for a bit of praise from this laconic man who seldom praised anything. He looked at it long and silently. "Well," he finally drawled. It ain't level, and it ain't plumb, but it does go in the general direction of upwards. Perfection is never one of our goals. We will and do make mistakes in our attempts to be in authentic relationship with each other and find the best way forward. There are times we will soar, and there are also times we might fall on our faces. We can strike a balance between the need to embrace change and the need for stability, solidity, memory, and hope. These are the qualities that Susan Archer described in our reading about the button box. They will give you security in the midst of change. In ministry, as in life, things won't always be level and plumb, but it's important to keep striving for that general direction of upwards. And I think we can have a lot of fun doing it. Amen. And blessed be. So, our closing hymn is in the hymnal, in the teal hymnal. Where's my order of service? What number?
1017, 1017, teal
1017.
hymnal.
So, we're going to play it on the screen, a video that was created by the UU congregation in Grafton and Upton, Massachusetts, little central Mass communities that have embraced this whole idea of the changing landscape of music. And the kind of thing that I think we need to begin to do here. So we're going to play it for once on screen, and then we're all going to stand and sing along with the band on screen.
We are building a new way. We are building a new way. We are building a new way, feeling stronger every day. We are building a new way. We can feed every need, every need. We can feed every need, every need. We can feed our every need. Start with love, that is the seed. We can feed our every need.
Please rise in body or in spirit. If we can sing along around the Mass, we are not doing verses 3 and 4, as you noticed on the
We are not doing verse 2, we are doing 1, 3, and 4.
Oh, is it 1?
One,
All right,
three,
1,
and
3, and 4. Sorry about that.
Okay.
We are building a new way. We are building a new way. We are building a new way. Feeling stronger every day. We are building a new way. We can feed on every need, every need. We can feed on every need, every need. We can feed our every need. Start with love, that is the seed. We can feed on every need. Peace and freedom is our cry. Peace and freedom is our cry. Peace and freedom is our cry. Without these, the world will die. Peace and freedom is our
Like the god Janus, we look forward and we look back. We look forward to envision a future that is different from how we do things today in significant ways. We look back to your founding minister, Edward Robinson, in his words that were our call to worship. John Robinson, sorry. He's somebody in the UU world. John Robinson, who wrote, the Lord hath more truth and light yet to break forth out of his holy word. A visionary statement that keeps asking us to move forward, to continue to work for growth and change, to continue to envision what the Holy is calling us to in this new age. Let us deal with our sadness and grief together about some of the changes that need to happen. Let us know the foundation on which we stand. And let us move forward with some joy in our hearts. Amen. And blessed be you. Take your seat.